feel bad for Jennifer, but I will say she is a magnet for being scammed. She just had an entire documentary about getting scammed from some other guy, and I don't know, there's just something about Jennifer that she just doesn't have.
Listen, before we even get into names, court papers, or who said what, you need to understand why fans are completely shaken right now. Because what's circulating online feels less like a rumor and more like the kind of story that starts as whispers and ends with silence that's even louder. According to multiple reports making the rounds, a familiar reality TV...
More people are coming out talking about he scammed them. This is so embarrassing. This is exactly what I mean when I say, do not ever settle in life. I don't care how old you are. First of all, she looks amazing. She does not have to settle. No matter where you are in life.
Marriage may have just taken a turn nobody saw coming. Viewers woke up to headlines claiming that a certain Basketball Wives star's husband had been found guilty in a fraud case. And then, almost overnight, he allegedly vanished. No press statement, no appearance, no explanation, just...
The thing about Jennifer, she continues to repeat the cycle. God continues to send you the same fucking person over and over again, and until you learn whatever that lesson is supposed to be, you know? And she wants to be married and she wants to have a relationship so bad, no matter at what cost. She wanted to marry Tim, you know, and no matter what, I want to be a wife, you know, and she's willing to take just the title without really having in your life a great...
Gone. Fans immediately started connecting dots. Screenshots began spreading, old interviews resurfaced, clips from past seasons suddenly felt different, heavier, almost uncomfortable to rewatch. Moments that once looked like harmless bragging now feel like warning signs people ignored. And that's where the tension really begins. Because if these reports are even partially true, then this isn't just about money or lawsuits. This is about trust, betrayal, and the emotional fallout of standing 10 toes down for someone while the world slowly turns against them. People online are asking the same chilling question. How much did she know? And when did she know it? Sources claim emotions ran high behind the scenes as friends allegedly tried to warn her. Some say there were arguments that never made it to camera. Others insist she was blindsided just like everyone else. Either way, fans are shocked by how fast the narrative flipped. One minute, it's luxury, diamonds, and fairy tale love. The next, it's court judgments, fraud accusations, and a husband who can't be found. And here's what makes this even more unsettling. This isn't the first time the internet believes she's been pulled into controversy like this. That pattern alone has people talking. Some are sympathetic, others are ruthless. Timelines are filling up with comments saying, "Not again," while others argue this time feels different, darker. So the question now isn't just what happened, it's what happens next. If the reports are true, someone is running, someone is hiding, and someone is left standing in front of the cameras, forced to answer for a mess she may not have created, but can't escape. And trust me, once we get into what these reports are claiming, the twists only get messier. When these reports first started circulating, the most confusing part for everyone watching was how fast the narrative seemed to flip. Just days earlier, the story being pushed online was about success, wealth, and a picture-perfect marriage. Then suddenly, gossip pages, commentary channels, and anonymous sources were all hinting at something much darker. Fans were trying to figure out where the truth ended and speculation began, but the emotional reaction was already out of control. According to what is being reported, alleged court-related news connected to the husband began spreading quietly at first. It was not presented as breaking confirmation, but as whispers that something serious had happened behind closed doors. That alone was enough to send fans digging. Old clips resurfaced, screenshots from past interviews started trending again. Moments that once felt confident now felt uncomfortable in hindsight, as if people were rewatching with completely new eyes. Emotions ran high online as supporters and critics immediately took sides. Some viewers said it was unfair to jump to conclusions based on reports and commentary. Others argued that these stories do not appear out of nowhere. They pointed out that similar rumors had been floating around for months, only now they were gaining traction. The silence from the husband only added fuel to the fire, making the situation feel heavier with every passing hour. Attention quickly shifted to Jennifer and how she was reacting, or at least how people believed she was reacting based on what was being shared. Reports claimed she was scrambling behind the scenes, trying to make sense of everything while also protecting her image. Some fans believed she was completely blindsided and emotionally overwhelmed. Others felt she had been defending him for too long and was now facing the consequences of standing by the wrong person. The commentary grew louder when people started discussing the lifestyle that had been publicly displayed. Luxury trips, expensive gifts, and bold statements about money were now being questioned. Fans asked where it all came from and whether the image presented on television and social media matched reality. Even though nothing was being confirmed outright, the questions alone were damaging enough to spark intense debate. Friends and insiders were suddenly being pulled into the narrative as well. Gossip pages claimed that people close to the couple had felt uneasy for a long time. Some reports suggested there
were private arguments and tense conversations that never made it to camera. These alleged moments, whether true or exaggerated, painted a picture of a relationship under strain long before the current report surfaced. The idea that history might be repeating itself also became a major talking point. Fans began drawing comparisons to past relationships, saying the pattern looked familiar. Sympathy mixed with frustration as people argued about whether love had clouded judgment once again. Some viewers expressed genuine concern, saying they felt bad watching someone go through another public humiliation. Others were less forgiving, insisting that repeated situations like this cannot always be blamed on bad luck. What truly escalated the drama was the claim that after these reports gained traction, the husband seemed to disappear from public view. No statements, no posts, no appearances. That silence was described by many as louder than any denial could have been. People questioned why someone facing such serious allegations would choose to vanish instead of addressing the situation head-on. As the days passed, the story kept evolving without actually moving forward. Every new comment section felt like a battleground. Some fans begged others to wait for facts. Others argued that reality TV thrives on narratives, and this one was already spiraling out of control. Regardless of where people stood, everyone agreed on one thing. This was no longer just gossip. It was a full-blown public spectacle. Jennifer was once again placed at the center of a storm she may not have created but could not escape. Reports suggested she was trying to keep her composure while the internet dissected every choice she had made. Some believed she was holding on out of loyalty. Others felt she was trapped between love and reputation. Either way, the emotional toll was becoming impossible to ignore. The situation left fans divided and restless. Questions kept piling up with no clear answers in sight. Was this all exaggerated commentary, or was there more waiting to come out? Was the silence strategic, or was it panic? And most importantly, how does someone move forward when their personal life becomes a headline fueled by speculation, judgment, and endless debate? The uncertainty hung heavy in the air, setting the stage for even more intense reactions as the story continued to unfold. When these reports first started gaining traction online, the shift in tone felt sudden but heavy. What had been framed as a glamorous relationship began to look fragile under the weight of speculation. Commentary channels started piecing together timelines, not claiming facts but repeating what was being said across blogs, gossip pages, and social media threads. Fans were confused because nothing official had been announced, yet the story felt too loud to ignore. People began pointing out that the buzz did not come from one single source. It was a buildup. Screenshots of alleged court updates were being discussed. Clips from past seasons were being replayed with new captions. Interviews that once sounded confident were now described as unsettling. The narrative slowly changed from admiration to suspicion, and emotions ran high as viewers tried to make sense of what they were seeing. According to reports circulating at the time, the issue centered around claims that a fraud case connected to the husband had reached a serious legal stage. Again, no one was presenting this as a confirmed outcome, but the language used online made it feel final. Words like guilty and judgment were being thrown around loosely, even though many acknowledged they were repeating what they had read rather than verified information. Still, the impact was immediate. Fans flooded comment sections with mixed reactions. Some demanded people stop spreading unconfirmed news. Others argued that silence from the husband was suspicious in itself. The lack of response became part of the story. Every hour without a statement was interpreted as either strategic or alarming. The internet filled that silence with theories, assumptions, and worst-case scenarios. Attention naturally turned toward Jennifer. Reports suggested she was under intense pressure, not just from the public, but from her own circle. Commentary claimed she was being pulled in different directions, urged by some to speak out and advised by others to stay quiet. Her past loyalty to her husband became a central talking point, with fans debating whether it showed strength or poor judgment. What added fuel to the fire was the lifestyle that had been publicly displayed. Social media posts, luxury items, and bold statements about wealth were now being questioned. People were not accusing, but asking, where did it all come from? How much was real? How much was performance? These questions alone were enough to damage public perception, even without concrete answers. Gossip pages also began claiming that friends had concerns long Before these reports surfaced,
Alleged private conversations were described in detail, painting a picture of tension behind the scenes. Whether true or exaggerated, these stories created the impression that everything was not as perfect as it appeared on screen. Fans felt like they were seeing the cracks in slow motion. Another layer of commentary focused on pattern. Viewers started comparing this situation to previous relationships, saying the storyline felt familiar. Sympathy and frustration collided. Some expressed sadness, saying no one deserves to be embarrassed publicly like this. Others were harsher, suggesting that ignoring red flags repeatedly leads to the same outcome. The debate grew louder with each passing day. The emotional language used online became more dramatic as people imagined what was happening off camera. Some believed Jennifer was blindsided and devastated. Others speculated that she might have known more than she was letting on. No evidence was presented either way, but the opinions were strong. Emotions ran high as fans projected their own experiences onto the situation. Meanwhile, the alleged disappearance of the husband from public view became a focal point. Reports claimed he was suddenly unreachable, inactive on social platforms, and absent from public spaces. Again, this was not confirmed, but repeated so often that it felt real to those consuming the content. Silence turned into a character in the story, shaping the narrative more than any statement could have. As the days went on, the story refused to settle. Instead of clarity, there was escalation. Each new post reignited the conversation. Each reaction video added another layer of drama. People argued not just about what happened, but about whether it was fair was speculate at all. Yet the engagement numbers kept rising, proving how deeply invested the audience had become. Jennifer was described as standing at the center of a storm that kept growing. Some commentary suggested she was trying to protect herself emotionally, while the internet dissected her marriage. Others believed she was focused on controlling the narrative. Whatever the truth, the pressure was undeniable, and fans could feel it through the screen. By this point, the situation was no longer just gossip. It had become a full spectacle driven by uncertainty. People were no longer asking what happened, but what will happen next? Will there be a statement? Will the silence break? Or will this story continue to exist in the space between rumor and reality, where opinions form faster than facts, and emotions decide the outcome long before the truth ever arrives? The conversation shifted again when more voices started entering the narrative, each one adding a new layer of tension. Commentary channels began saying that behind the scenes, reactions were far more intense than what the public could see. According to circulating talk, phones were ringing nonstop, messages were going unanswered, and people close to the situation were allegedly scrambling to understand what was real and what was being exaggerated for clicks. Fans were shocked by how fast the story seemed to grow without a single official confirmation. Some reports claim that Jennifer's inner circle was divided. A few friends were allegedly urging her to speak up, believing silence made everything look worse. Others were said to be advising her to stay quiet and let the noise die down. This internal conflict became part of the drama itself. Viewers speculated about late-night conversations, raised voices, and emotional breakdowns that were never captured on camera, but imagined vividly by the audience. Online, people began dissecting her past behavior in detail. Old episodes were clipped and reposted with new commentary layered over them. Moments that once felt minor were reframed as potential warning signs. Fans argued over whether she ignored red flags or whether she simply trusted the wrong person. Emotions ran high as viewers projected their own experiences with betrayal, love, and denial onto her situation. Another major twist in the narrative came from the way money was being discussed. Commentary suggested that alleged victims were speaking out online, sharing stories about investments that did not go as planned. Again, these were framed as claims being reported, not proven facts. Still, the emotional weight of these stories shifted public opinion quickly. People began questioning whether the lifestyle they had seen was built on something unstable. Fans reacted strongly to these accounts. Some expressed anger on behalf of those claiming they were wronged. Others pushed back, saying no one should be tried in the court of public opinion. The comment sections became battlegrounds, filled with heated exchanges and personal attacks. Every post felt like it was adding gasoline to an already raging fire. Meanwhile, speculation around the husband's silence intensified. People started asking why there was
No denial, no explanation, no reassurance. Commentary channels framed this absence as a deliberate choice, suggesting that saying nothing might be a legal strategy or an attempt to avoid making things worse. Others believed it showed panic. Either way, the lack of visibility turned him into a shadowy figure, fueling even more suspicion. Jennifer's emotional state became a topic of constant discussion. Some reports described her as devastated and overwhelmed, struggling to process how quickly everything unraveled. Others claimed she was more focused on damage control than emotional healing.
Fans debated whether loyalty had blinded her or whether she was simply caught in a situation she could not control. The family was left divided, at least in the story being told online. There was also talk about how this situation could affect future appearances. Viewers wondered if cameras would capture the fallout or if everything would play out off-screen. Some believed this controversy would dominate upcoming storylines, while others felt it might push her to step back entirely. The uncertainty kept people watching closely, refreshing pages for updates that never seemed to come. Another wave of discussion centered on reputation. Commentary suggested that even if none of the reports were officially confirmed, the damage might already be done. In reality television, perception often matters more than truth. Fans acknowledge that once a narrative sticks, it is almost impossible to fully shake it. This realization made the situation feel even more tragic to those who sympathized with her. Friends of the couple were also pulled into the speculation. People claimed some had distanced themselves quietly, while others continued to show public support. Every unfollow, every vague post, every deleted comment was analyzed as if it were a clue. Emotions ran high as the audience treated social media behavior like evidence in an unfolding mystery. At the same time, critics grew louder. They argued that repeated controversies cannot always be blamed on coincidence. These voices were often harsh, accusing Jennifer of prioritizing status over stability. Supporters pushed back, saying love can cloud judgment and that no one deserves to be humiliated this way. The divide between empathy and blame became one of the strongest themes in the discussion. The story took on a life of its own, expanding far beyond the original reports. What started as whispered commentary now felt like a full-blown saga. People were no longer waiting for confirmation. They were reacting to the version of events that had formed in their minds. Speculation filled every gap left by silence, creating a narrative that felt real even without proof. As the noise continued, one thing became clear to viewers. This was no longer just about alleged legal trouble or a missing statement. It was about how quickly a public image can unravel when trust is questioned. The emotional stakes felt high, and fans sensed that whatever came next would only deepen the divide between rumor and reality. As the online conversation grew louder, the tone started to shift from shock to judgment. Commentary channels were no longer just repeating what was being reported. They were now analyzing behavior, body language, and timing. Every pause, every silence, every vague post was treated like a statement. Fans were shocked at how quickly sympathy began to turn into suspicion, and how little it took for public opinion to swing. One of the biggest talking points became the idea of responsibility. Not legal responsibility, but emotional and moral responsibility. People asked whether standing by someone during controversy is loyalty or denial. Some argued that supporting a partner through allegations is natural, especially when nothing has been officially confirmed. Others said blind defense can cross into complicity, even if unintentional. Emotions ran high as these debates played out across platforms. Commentary also focused heavily on the idea of image versus reality. Reports claimed that the couple had worked hard to present a certain lifestyle, one filled with confidence and success. Now that image was being pulled apart piece by piece. Fans questioned whether what they saw on screen was authentic or carefully curated. Even ordinary moments were reinterpreted as calculated, making it difficult for anyone involved to control the narrative. Another twist came when people began speculating about private conversations that may have happened after the report surfaced. Some claimed there were intense arguments behind closed doors. Others imagined tearful confrontations and difficult questions finally being asked. None of this was confirmed, but the emotional storytelling took on a life of its own. Viewers felt like they were watching a drama unfold in real time, even without footage. The idea that the husband might be intentionally staying out of sight became more central to the narrative.
Commentary suggested different reasons for the disappearance being discussed online. Some believed it was a legal move, advised by professionals to avoid public statements. Others felt it was fear, embarrassment, or an attempt to let attention shift elsewhere. The lack of clarity only deepened the mystery and kept fans engaged. Meanwhile, Jennifer's past interviews and statements were being re-examined line by line. People questioned things she had said about trust, partnership, and standing by your spouse. Words that once sounded romantic were now framed as ironic. Fans debated whether she truly believed them or was repeating a story she wanted to be true. This reinterpretation of her own voice made the situation feel even more personal. Family reactions became another source of speculation. Commentary claimed that relatives were worried about the impact of the controversy, not just emotionally, but publicly. Some fans believed family members were urging her to protect herself first. Others thought they were encouraging her to remain loyal and united. The family was left divided in the story being told online, even if no one had spoken publicly. As days passed without clarity, frustration started replacing curiosity. Some viewers expressed exhaustion, saying the lack of answers felt manipulative.
Others admitted they could not look away, checking for updates constantly. The story had reached a point where silence itself felt like a strategy, whether intentional or not. Every hour without news made the situation feel heavier. Critics began pushing a harsher narrative, suggesting that patterns matter. They listed past situations and argued that repeated controversies point to deeper issues. Supporters fired back, saying that public figures are often targeted unfairly and that coincidence does exist. The arguments grew more personal, with people projecting their own experiences onto the situation. Emotions ran high, and empathy often clashed with cynicism. Commentary channels leaned into these divisions, framing the situation as a cautionary tale. Some spoke about the cost of ignoring intuition. Others emphasized how easily love can cloud judgment. These discussions were framed as lessons rather than accusations, but the impact was the same. The audience was encouraged to see meaning in every detail, even when details were incomplete. There was also speculation about what might happen if the story continued without resolution. Fans wondered whether a statement would ever come or if silence would remain the chosen path. Some believed that time would eventually quiet the noise. Others thought the absence of answers would only invite more intense scrutiny. The uncertainty became part of the drama, keeping emotions on edge. Jennifer's role in the narrative grew more complicated with each passing day. She was no longer seen as just a partner in a controversial relationship, but as a symbol of something larger. To some, she represented misplaced trust. To others, she embodied resilience under pressure. The split in perception showed how deeply divided the audience had become. What made this phase of the story so intense was the lack of a clear villain or hero. Everything existed in shades of gray. Reports without confirmation, reactions without context, silence without explanation. Fans filled in the gaps themselves, creating multiple versions of the same story. Each version felt real to the people who believed it. By this point, the situation had evolved into more than commentary. It was an emotional experience for viewers, fueled by speculation and amplified by social media. People were not just watching a story, they were participating in it, shaping it with every comment and reaction. And as long as questions remained unanswered, the tension refused to fade, setting the stage for even more dramatic interpretations to come. By the time the conversation reached the stage, the story had fully transformed into something much bigger than the original reports. It was no longer just about alleged legal trouble or unexplained silence. It had become a full-scale public reckoning, shaped by opinion, emotion, and speculation. Fans were no longer asking for updates, they were demanding meaning. They wanted to understand how things reached this point, and what it all said about love, trust, and public life. Commentary channels began framing the situation as a turning moment. Some suggested this was the point where denial ends and reality begins, at least emotionally. According to circulating talk, Jennifer was being forced to confront questions she may have avoided before, not because anyone confirmed wrongdoing, but because perception had already done its damage. In the court of public opinion, the verdict felt decided long before any facts were clarified. People online imagined difficult conversations happening in private, the kind that strip away excuses and leave only uncomfortable truths. Fans speculated about late-night
Arguments, moments of silence that spoke louder than words, and the emotional weight of realizing that standing by someone might cost more than walking away. These imagined scenes carried as much emotional impact as any televised moment ever could. The theme of loyalty continued to dominate discussion. Some viewers argued that loyalty means staying even when things look bad, especially when nothing is officially proven. Others countered that true loyalty includes accountability, not blind defense. Emotions ran high as these perspectives clashed, revealing how personal the story had become for many watching. People were not just reacting to the couple, they were reflecting on their own boundaries. Another shift occurred when people began talking about consequences beyond the relationship. Reputation, career, and future opportunities became part of the conversation. Commentary suggested that even if the situation eventually faded, the memory would linger. Reality television thrives on narratives, and once a storyline sticks, it often follows a person longer than they expect. This realization added a layer of sadness to the speculation. Fans also debated what silence really means in moments like this. Some believe silence is a form of self-protection, a way to avoid saying the wrong thing. Others felt it creates a vacuum that gets filled with the worst assumptions. The absence of a clear voice allowed the loudest opinions to dominate, shaping the narrative without resistance. Silence became both a shield and a weapon, depending on who was interpreting it. Supporters continued to express concern for Jennifer's emotional well-being. They spoke about the pressure of being judged publicly while navigating something deeply personal. Many said they could not imagine having their private struggles dissected daily by strangers. These voices urged compassion, reminding others that rumors can hurt just as much as facts when they spread unchecked. On the other side, critics remained firm. They argued that public figures benefit from visibility when things are good and cannot disappear when things turn uncomfortable. To them, accountability meant addressing the narrative, even if only to acknowledge the speculation. This tension between privacy and responsibility fueled ongoing debate, with no clear resolution in sight.
As time passed, the lack of new information did not slow engagement. Instead, it intensified curiosity. Every small detail, every indirect post, every absence was treated as meaningful. Fans became detectives, piecing together timelines and drawing conclusions from fragments. The story continued to evolve, not because of new facts, but because of sustained attention. The emotional arc of the situation began to resemble a cautionary tale. Commentary channels framed it as a reminder of how quickly admiration can turn into scrutiny, how love, when combined with public exposure, can become both armor and liability. These reflections were presented not as accusations, but as observations shaped by the story unfolding online. What stood out most was how divided the audience remained. There was no consensus, no shared conclusion. Some saw a woman unfairly dragged into chaos. Others saw repeated choices leading to predictable outcomes. Both sides felt strongly, and neither seemed willing to back down. The family was left divided in the narrative people had constructed, even if the reality behind closed doors remained unknown. By now, the story had reached a strange balance. It was everywhere and nowhere at the same time, constantly discussed yet unresolved. The absence of clarity kept emotions suspended, never allowing closure. Fans sensed that whether or not statements were ever made, the impact of this moment would linger. In the end, what people were really reacting to was not just the reports, but the vulnerability they exposed, the fear of trusting the wrong person, the cost of ignoring doubt, the pressure of standing by someone while the ground shifts beneath you. This is why the story refused to fade. It tapped into something universal, wrapped in celebrity and amplified by speculation. As the noise continued and the silence remained, one thing became clear to viewers. This was not just a scandal being watched from a distance. It was a mirror, reflecting questions many people avoid asking until it is too late. And until answers emerge, if they ever do, the tension will continue to hang in the air, shaped by belief, emotion, and the powerful pull of an unfinished story. So now it all comes back to you. After hearing everything that's been circulating, all the reactions, all the speculation, and all the unanswered questions, where do you stand? Do you think this is another case of rumors being blown out of proportion by the internet, or does the silence make the reports feel more believable? Fans are clearly divided, and emotions are still running high with no clear resolution in sight. This story leaves
us with so many questions that have not been addressed. Is staying silent a smart move, or does it only make things worse? Should loyalty come before accountability, or is there a point where protecting yourself has to come first? And if these reports fade away tomorrow, will the damage already be done anyway? These are the questions people are still arguing about every single day online. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you feel sympathy for Jennifer, or do you think she ignored too many warning signs? Do you believe she was blindsided, or do you think she stayed quiet because she knew more than she let on? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments, and let's talk about it without holding back. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure you hit that like button because it really helps support the channel. Subscribe if you want more deep dives into reality TV drama, celebrity controversy, and the stories everyone is afraid to talk about. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video when this story inevitably takes another turn. This situation is still unfolding, and as more reports surface, we'll be right here breaking it all down. Until then, keep questioning the narrative, stay curious, and remember that in the world of reality TV, the truth is rarely as simple as it seems.